I'm Jay Maxicus, and welcome to another TLDR on Return to Dominaria, Episode 1. Now, this episode takes place shortly after the events of Hour of Devastation and part in sequence with Ixalan. These stories will converge at some time after Jace meets up with Gideon again. We begin our story here at Herborg with a cleric of the Cabal named Sedage. He is at a stronghold where Belzenlock resides, and a disciple named Needle, who is spying on New Argive at this point, comes in holding the Black Blade, which is going to be in the new set called Black Blade Reforged. This blade has some history, as a blacksmith named Dakin forged it by killing servants with it every time he heated the blade for 10 years. This made the blade have the ability to absorb the power of those that it had slain, and was instrumental in making Dakin a planeswalker. It was used to kill the Elder Dragon Pyru and absorb Pyru into the blade. Now, something that is interesting to note is that there was only supposed to be 5 Elder Dragons to survive the Dragon War, and Pyru was the partner of Chromium, which was one of those 5, but was considered to be a lesser dragon for the most part. This, however, confirms that Pyru was indeed an Elder Dragon. When the blade was presented to Sedage, he asked who used the sword to kill an Elder Dragon. When Needle's servant began to say Dakon, they were cut off and told it was the demon lord Belzenlock. This is interesting, as it seems that Belzenlock is using his servants to rewrite or retell the story of Dominaria, with Belzenlock being the one attached to this history. So you go through all this trouble finding this blade, and your reward for finding it and bringing it back to Belzenlock is death. And it's a weird kind of death, which is depicted in this picture. And it has to do something with what is called the Void, which we'll get into later. Continuing forward, Joya is operating a giant mechanical fish in the Dominarian waters. She has a helper from Jamura named Hedai, who is helping her try to locate the remnants of the Weatherlight. After finding the remnants, she has a Vodalian merfolk named Sven help retrieve the wreckage for her with Sven's other merfolk. This is an interesting fact, as we know from this that the ruins of the Weatherlight must be near Sarpadia, as this is where the Vodalian merfolk are from, even though it was destroyed near Herborg. Now, Joya is a super old artificer and was at the Tolarian Academy a long time ago when it was destroyed. She was the only one left there and drank some water that was affected by the temporal rifts, which made her aging process slow down to a near standstill. She was the first captain of the Weatherlight, so it is of no surprise that she is trying to retrieve it. The Weatherlight has a vast history and is basically an airship that was used in a number of tales with its crew. It was destroyed while trying to defend against the arrival of Yawgmoth. Now we get to the main part of the story where the remaining Gatewatch members from Amonkhet minus Jace are meeting. They meet up near Liliana's hometown of Benalia in Arona. Apparently, this is where Ajani suggested they meet after Amonkhet. So Nyssa is pissed, like super pissed, that she basically watched a plane get devastated and countless people get destroyed. She is mainly pissed at Liliana for abandoning them after the demon Razakath was killed. Liliana reveals that she needs Nyssa's help to help kill Belzenlock. Now, Belzenlock is the last of Liliana's demons that are alive that have made a pact with her to grant her more power since the mending weakened and aged her. She tells the group that with her pact with the demons over, she would have enough power to defeat Bolas. Nyssa doesn't trust her and pieces out saying that her watch is over and she needs to go back to Zendikar to help out her plane instead. That if Liliana had this power, she would be no better than Bolas and another threat to deal with. Chandra also says she is leaving, but not quitting the band. She says she needs to get stronger and pieces out as well. Now Gideon is the only one left with Liliana, and he is messed up after his fight with Bolas, having a big hole punched into him. She goes to the nearby town with Gideon to help heal him, but the town and whole place is like a swampy mess. She finds out in the inn that the Cabal, they're basically the death worshippers of Belzenlock who used to live in Otaria, have invaded. She goes to find out Herb to help Gideon and come across her home. She finds out that the Vest Manor isn't just a bunch of rubble and is in fact worn down but intact. She sees that someone has performed some sort of magic to preserve the place. When she returns to the village with the herbs, she finds it under attack by undead knights from the Cabal. She easily dispatches the undead, and before she strikes down the last knight, something whispers to her mind saying, "The void awaits." When she seeks out the connection with the last knight and the lich that controls it, she sees that face of her brother Josu. Now, last we saw of Josu was when Liliana had tried to save his life with an herb, which ended up turning him into a zombie. This awakened her spark and she planeswalked away. Now she sees him after all this time as the lich behind the zombies and the spell at the Vest Manor. Now, when the townsfolk and Liliana convened at the last human cleric that was left alive, she asks about where her brother is and what Belzenlock has done. The cleric reveals that Belzenlock knew she was coming and prepared for her, made her brother his servant and commander over his forces. Before the cleric dies, he also says, "The void awaits," and Liliana vows to make Belzenlock pay. Wow, what a first story, and one is coming again tomorrow. I am really happy with how well written this story was and how much better it was compared to past stories, and really applaud Wizards for hiring accomplished writers this time. I really look forward to see how this unfolds and how the story is told. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe below. Tell me what your thoughts on this first story are and any predictions that you might have for the future. I'm glad that you're able to take this journey with me as we begin to search Dominaria once again. I'm Jay Maxicus, and stay tuned for some more TLDR.